If you're enjoying Picketed Podcast, why not sign up to our Patreon? You can get access to loads of extra stuff. You get access to extra episodes every single week. You get access to giveaways that we do. We've done giveaways on rum, giveaways on NFTs, loads of sponsorship stuff. You get access to the Discord community. You get early access on episodes that are being released. You get to ask questions to our guests. There's loads of extra stuff that you get, and it starts from just £1 a week, £4 a month. Think about it this way. Would you miss an episode of Picketed if we didn't release one? Yeah? Well, would you miss £1 if it went out of your bank account? No? Well then, get yourself signed up to our Patreon, because by supporting the podcast, you're helping to make it possible. You're helping to pay for all of the recording space and all of the equipment. So please, if you do enjoy the podcast, check out the Patreon. You get loads of extra benefits, and a big thank you from me. Enjoy the podcast. This week's podcast is brought to you by Window World. Window World are the home of rock bottom prices on all of your UPVC windows, doors and conservatories. Right now they're doing a very special deal where you can get 8 windows and 2 doors for only £2,495. So if you're thinking about getting new windows or doors, if you want to upgrade yourself for 2022, then get yourself down to windowworldupvc.co.uk or give them a call on 0151 531 0056. That's Window World, the home of great quality windows and doors.
Welcome to Picketed Podcast. Joining us today, as always, forever, is our co-host, the fantabulous Dr. Cat Ford.
Hello.
How are you, Cat?
Yeah, I'm all right. Bit knackered.
Your brain isn't working today, is it?
No.
I've just picked Cat up in the car, and it was like speaking to somebody who has just had a really intense dentist appointment and has just been gassed within an inch of their lives. You just said, coffee, please.
Yeah, I was not managing complete sentences, and I nearly didn't manage one then.
It was really tough for you, wasn't it? Yeah. It was really tough. It was like...
Yeah, I'm struggling today.
You know when you get people coming over from like different countries and stuff, and they're like, I want to live in the UK to start a new life, but I know 12 words.
Yeah.
They come over, they're like, these 12 words better last me. It's like that.
They'd beat me today.
Oh, they would. Definitely. Pavel from Eastern Europe, who's been here 12 minutes, he would beat you today.
Yeah.
He'd beat you today.
Yeah. Got a bigger vocabulary than me today.
Bless. I always find that amazing, like how the balls to come over to a different country.
Yeah,
and just be like, because I've been traveling, all over the world. What? Brag. It sounds like a weird humble brag, didn't it? But I used to love...
Nothing about that sounded humble. I've travelled all over the world.
First class. No, so I did interrailing when I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of Eastern Europe and stuff like that. And the thing is it's all right when you get to say France, because you go around France or whatever and you're like, le bus. And you're like, well, I know the word bus. I'm not sure on the word le. Yeah. But I reckon bus is going to do most of the... Like, unless le means this is not a...
Isn't it autobus?
Autobus. You can piece it together. Like, even in German, where it's like, das Hacken Schwenken Bus. It's like, bus. Aha. Yeah. You know. Whereas when you get to, wait a minute, these letters aren't my alphabet anymore. That's when it's
getting...
Yeah. It's when you look, like in Thailand, when it's all just like little squiggles and then little circles over the top, and you're like, none of those circles look like a bus to me.
It's like trying to play Snap with your phrase book.
Yeah, there's no idea. It's pattern recognition at that point, isn't it? Just looking up. It's
right, two diamonds, right, yeah.
Snap! Oh, mate.
Eel soup. Shit.
Oh, God, I had so much trouble eating in Asia, because I'm a fussy eater anyway. Yeah. But I went to Bali, and it was like, basically, in Bali, particularly in Indonesia, they are really good at cooking, Indonesian type food. Like, so if you like, for example, it's the first place that I ever tried a nasi goreng, which is fucking amazing, right?
Yeah.
All the Penangs and stuff, all of that stuff is amazing. But there comes a point after about a week where you're like, you know what, rice and noodles can fuck off. You know, like, I would quite like something that doesn't come in its own broth for today. So
Right.
you order like a pizza and you go, that can't be too hard to fuck up. And then you get there and it's like, it comes and you're like, have you guys ever seen Italy before? Like, how are you so good at cooking that and this is so shit? But then I imagine that the same thing is
Yeah, also completely different skills, I guess. Well, because you can't really cook a pizza in a wok. You know, that's kind of an oven situation generally.
Yeah. Nobody in Indonesia owns an uni.
What the fuck's an uni? Is that one of those a special pizza oven?
An uni is one of those little outside ovens that middle class people have.
Oh, right,
You know those
okay.
little outside pizza ovens that cost like 400 quid?
Yeah.
And they're like, we've got an uni. Yeah, sometimes we have pizzas in the garden. It's
Why?
like for £400 and you have to make them.
Yeah.
And I can get one from the takeaway for a £5.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it tastes really good because we make it. It's like,
Yeah, but the pizza people do a really good pizza. That's kind of the whole business.
yeah, they do it every
And
day.
it comes in a box, right?
Yeah.
Which you can eat. So you can eat it inside or outside, in the car, on a train.
Don't have to clean a pizza oven as well. That's
Yeah.
400 quid. If a pizza's like, what, £7 you can get a margarita for?
Yeah.
400
easy,
That's like years worth of pizza.
yeah, and that's none of the ingredients as well.
Oh my God.
It'd be. I wonder what the maths is before it's
Welcome
cheaper.
to Bigoted Podcast. I wonder what, I reckon you'd have to eat 300 plus pizzas before it was just cheaper just to buy the uni. 300 pizzas, I reckon.
At least, yeah.
You reckon?
I think even then you'd be struggling.
So if you have a pizza, let's say you are a bit of a fucking hog and you have a pizza. What's excessive for a pizza? Once a week if you're eating pizza?
Yeah, I'd say that's excessive.
Imagine averaging 2 pizzas a week
Yeah.
for your life. That's, yeah, you could,
a
once
lot
a
of
week.
pizza.
Once a week's a fond pizza lover, I would say.
Yeah. Fond pizza lover. Oh, God, we get so off track.
Yeah, but it's fun though, isn't it?
It is good.
Once a week, I'd say, is a fond pizza lover. So if you're having 300 weeks, and then there's 52 weeks in a year.
Yeah.
And then,
So that's 5 years?
And then-
300 weeks
but-
is 5 years, is it?
yeah, but then,
Yeah.
check this out. Check this out. Your pizza oven lives outside. You're not going to want to go outside
can't
in
do it in winter.
November. Who'd like a pizza, guys? Or are we ordering from Pizza Hut? Absolutely not. No, I'm going to put on a rain mac and go outside and make pizzas in the pitch black at 2 degrees when it's pissing it down. So really, you've only got spring and summer. So that's half the year. So really, 10 years worth of pizza.
Yeah. Yeah, before you're even breaking it. So anyway.
How the fuck does anyone buy those things?
And now for a message from our new sponsors,
Uni! Uni are a new way to eat pizzas in the garden. Really cost effective as well, guys. It'll pay for itself within several months. Uni pizzas, the only pizzas.
Yeah. Cool. So we're not getting a sponsorship deal off them.
No, we are
No,
not.
fuck
And they did not email in either, so they can fuck themselves.
We might get one off like Pizza Hut or Papa John's. 'Cause,
Fantastic.
like we've just said, much cheaper than an uni.
Would you imagine if that was the tagline? Just cheaper than an uni, innit?
Yeah.
What would be is there anything that you would refuse sponsorship for on ethical grounds? Any company?
Ooh, well, anything homeopathic.
Oh,
Like
okay.
any sort of alternative medicine kind of shenanigans.
So I'll be honest. I thought that you were going to say anything that promotes like slave labour or child labour or
Oh, no, I love a
Nestle
bit
or
of
something
that.
like that. But you were like, look, I just don't deal with bullshit products.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, look, them kids can knit a wallet as much as anyone else can.
Well, sometimes if you want something really intricate,
I know what you're going to say. You need little hands. Teeny wee hands. Yeah. And if you lose a finger at an early age, you grow up and learn about it. You know, you learn to deal with it more quickly, don't you?
Just adaptable. People are really adaptable.
Exactly.
Speaking of people being really adaptable.
Are you linking this into what our podcast is actually going to be
a
about
segue
today?
here.
Oh my God. No.
You've witnessed, this is my first spontaneous segue.
Do you know what? People would kill for preamble like ours. Go on.
So, have you ever heard of a chap called Phineas Gage?
I have not heard of a chap called Phineas Gage.
Oh, okay. Wow.
It sounds like it sounds to me like the sort of person that is a name of a handle on TikTok that just sings sea shanties.
Well, different mode of transport. He was a railroad worker.
A railroad worker.
He was. So one of his jobs was he was involved in clearing the way for new railroad lines.
Okay.
Which involves exploding bits of rock.
Wait, what? So I thought you just chop down trees and shit.
Yeah, but if there's like a hill in your way, sometimes you just got to blow that bastard up.
Sometimes you just got to blow... That was an old saying from old Phineas Gage. If there's a hill in your way, sometimes you just got to blow that bastard up. Where was he from?
New England sort of area.
That'll do. What, like Boston?
I think like Vermont.
Vermont.
Kind of. I might be making that up because my brain's not working today.
Well, New England, I'm just thinking New England Patriots. That's... Boston,
yeah,
isn't
it? I think he's
around that New York kind of drawl.
So it's sort of that top right-hand corner of America. Yeah. That's kind of New England, that area. Or that bit.
The Newcastle of...
the Newcastle of America.
The Newcastle of America. Imagine if someone called New York the Newcastle of America.
Yeah. No, I can't think of a... good joke there.
Nope.
So let's just let that die.
Have you ever been to New York?
Yeah, fucking loved it.
Oh, okay.
I
I was
love New
gonna
York.
lie about it.
Well, were you going to say it's...
Greg's everywhere.
Might just be blokes called Gregs working in the financial district.
They call it the Big Apple turnover. That's probably my favourite joke I've ever made.
It's good.
I've never been to New York. It is my dream to go.
Yeah.
I have never been because it is a really achievable dream.
Right.
So it's
once
honestly...
it's done.
Well, this
so
is
what have
it.
you got left to live for?
Exactly. Oh, no, I'll just be taking a one-way.
Yeah.
But the thing is because I know that I can just buy a flight for £500 and go, I've never gone. But I've wanted to go passionately for about 15 years.
Yeah.
But I've just, every year I go, oh yeah, I could go to New York with money that I have. Anyway, like, it's so attainable that it becomes unattainable.
Yeah, I've got a couple of things like that.
Go on.
Just so off track. I've got a few destinations like that would be really easy to get to. But I think part of the problem is that I want to go there, but I want it to be just right.
Maybe as well, though, what you lack, what I lack, is a bit of spontaneity.
I'm quite
trying to bring it back to Phineas Gage.
Yeah. Well, I suppose they. Yeah.
I don't even know what Phineas Gage is. I just know that you.
So it's a bloke.
Oh.
I don't know what even say.
You didn't even say what it was. I thought it was like a special type of equipment, like a Phineas Gauge. Like, if you got to blow stuff up, then you need a Phineas Gauge, and that was invented by some scientist, and that's what this is.
My brain really isn't with it today. So Phineas Gage is a bloke.
Fantastic.
It's a chap called Phineas Gage. And he was working on the railroads.
Yeah.
All the dang long day.
I'm just going to let that sit with you. Do you know what? This is going to be such a fucking weird episode. 13 minutes in and she's done an impromptu music. We've done 2 impromptu musicals. Right, so he's working on the railroad.
Yeah. And he has to, like, you've got to blast rocks out the way.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just got to.
Sometimes you just got to blast rocks.
And the way you do that, back in those days, is like you drill a big hole in the rock and fill it full of blasting powder, which is basically gunpowder, I think.
Okay.
Then you put some inert stuff over it, like sand or clay or whatever, to pack it down so that the stuff's all in one place. And so that when you set it off, instead of it blowing back out the hole, the force goes into the rock and splits the rock.
So I will, quick segue. I know my pyrotechnics. Or at least I know the methodology behind them.
Okay.
Because when I was a child, teenager.
You used to blow shit up?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Used to blow shit up and used to set things on fire all the time. Mm-hmm. And I owned a copy of what is now the legendary internet thing, the Anarchist's Cookbook.
Nice.
And me and my friends would practice making bombs on there. Actually, really, like wee little terrorists. But you know, we were white kids from the north, so no one minded. You know, go on, you little scamps, away you go. What's that? Molotov cocktail, you cheeky buggers. So we did try making a Molotov cocktail with an old, those iron brew bottles.
Oh yeah.
We tried that. Didn't work particularly well. Okay. We also tried making miniature grenades, and this is what reminded me of it, out of ping pong balls. And what we would do is we would scratch off, painstakingly, might add, match heads and scratch all the shit off the top of the match heads and pop it into the ping pong ball. And then we would pack it full of rocks and then we would try and set it on fire and throw it. And the plan was that if it was packed correctly, then it would hit the wall and form the explosion in the same way that Phineas Gage was splitting those rocks. And that's what it reminded me of all those years ago, trying to blow shit up. Yeah.
Everyone goes through a big blowy uppy fire phase, don't they? It was a very sort of 2004 or 5 thing, wasn't it? The Anarchist's Cookbook.
Very much so.
Like everyone I knew was like, I've got the Anarchist's Cookbook.
Very much so.
I was like, I want it, but I'm still on dial up.
But yeah. Very much though. It's got transferable skills because now, let me tell you this, I am fucking great at starting a barbecue.
Okay.
Yeah. Honestly, I can get it right. You know, you see those people that are like, well, work, it won't set on fire.
No, you're not going off oxygen flow, that's why.
Exactly. You have to understand that fire is a triangle. It needs oxygen, heat, and fuel. Yes.
Yeah.
So
there we go.
That's all up in there.
Very helpful.
Yeah. How all the best pitmasters started.
Yeah. Anarchist's Cookbook.
Yeah.
Smokehouse Cookbook.
Yeah.
We need to bring these two things together.
Yeah. If you are going to attach yourself onto one of those two words, cookbook is the one, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, Phineas Gage.
Yeah. So then you pack it, obviously, so that the blast goes in the right way. It goes in the right direction. And you tamp it down using a tamping rod.
A tamping rod.
Which Phineas's tamping rod, careful.
Like a penis.
Was smooth and pointy at one end. Yes, it was. It was big. It was hefty.
Good
so
lad.
It's like, I think it was like over 1 meter long.
Bloody hell, Finn.
Made of iron.
Ugh.
And probably, I think it was about 6 kilos in weight. So
6 kilos.
Sturdy fucking rod of
I mean,
iron.
I've stopped thinking about it like a penis now. 6 kilos. A 6 kilo rod
that would
of
make
iron.
you limp.
Damn, girl, you've been spending that with Phineas Gage. How do you know? Because your fanny looks very tightly packed.
I was actually more thinking it would make him limp. like you'd hear him coming down the road like just dragging his big metal cock. So yeah, it's a big, hefty bit of iron.
Right, okay.
And this is like back in 1848.
1848.
This Phineas is about 25 years old.
Okay.
And he has a bit of an accident at work.
No. So
As he's tamping the stuff into the rock, it's unclear exactly what happened.
Yeah.
One version I've heard is that whoever was in charge of putting the inert material in didn't put the inert material in.
Yeah.
So it's this hole full of blasting powder
and an
iron rod
known for its sparks
smacking against rock.
You'd think as well, even back in fucking, when is this, like 1848, whatever, you think that they know that iron makes sparks.
Yeah, which is why you usually only use the tamping rod after the inert material's been put in. But whoever was in charge of that bit didn't do it.
You think of, I mean, this is why, like Britain nowadays go, it's health and safety gone mad. Before health and safety, they were like, "Hey, look, we've packed those inert materials and it's fine. Shall we cover that tamping rod with like maybe cloth or something? It'll still do the job, but it'll probably stop this. Nah, don't worry about it."
Yeah. Well, it's difficult to know exactly what happened because 1848 and records about normal everyday things not that great.
Do you know what?
Today,
I was going to say you'll never have to. Historians will never have to say that ever again.
We don't really know what happened
because
they'll have live tweeted.
What's going to happen? Yeah, exactly. They'll go, and we know what he had for his breakfast yesterday because we go to @Phineas Gage on Instagram and we can see that he had gruel for breakfast. And then he tweeted, "Ow."
Well,
what happened to him?
The spark it caused a spark while he was tamping down the blasting powder.
Yeah.
This rod enters his face.
No.
Yeah, between his teeth and his jawbone.
Wow.
Flies up behind his eye, up out the top of his head, and lands 80 feet away.
80 feet?
There was a hell of a blast.
Also, so was he tamping like that then? And sort of, because he must have been slightly above it and pushing it down and having like, you'd think... Yeah, I mean, the first thing you learn at tamping school is to tamp away.
Always tamp away from your face.
Always tamp away from the body. God, but it's an accident waiting to happen, mate.
So I've read a couple of
tamp away, no doctors stay. That's what we say in tamping school. It's written on the wall like "Live, Laugh, Love."
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a good second half for tamp towards.
Tamp toward.
Your face is fucked. Basically.
Tamp toward, face no more.
Yeah.
Your face is flawed.
Yeah.
Tamp toward, your face is flawed.
Yeah.
Man, you having said that, what an arsehole it would take to see a man with a hole through his face and go,
Tamp toward, face is flawed.
Yeah, your face appears to be flawed, Phineas. There's a flaw in it, in that there's a giant big fuck off hole there. So what happened to old Phineas Gage?
Phineas Gage. So this iron rod that lands like 80 feet away is smeared in blood and brain matter.
Wow.
By the way, if you're already finding this a bit disgusting, it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
So might not be the show for you.
I mean, we always have this as like the little antidote to Dead Men Talking, the disgusting podcast. I have this as like the intellectual one. I feel like this is a crossover if ever there was one.
Possibly.
We've got a live video of him now.
So he fell back.
Yeah.
After this rod fucked off through his head.
I think he's more than entitled to.
He convulsed a little bit, I think. According to records.
So that means sort of like he had a
little bit of a fit.
Shat himself?
Not. You gave me such a knowing look then. It's like a sort of, you would.
That's what convulsed means generally, doesn't it? It means like they've shat themselves. That's what I always think when I hear convulsed.
Yeah.
I go, they shat themselves. But the thing is convulsed sounds like a doctor said it, whereas shat everywhere. Do you know what I mean? Like, he fell backwards and shat everywhere. You can't say that so you go convulsed.
Yeah. Well, I imagine it more like a fit, almost like an epileptic fit, rather than he shat himself when I hear convulsed. But I don't know. I can neither confirm nor deny whether
records were a little bit sketchy from back then as to whether or not Phineas Gage
shat himself.
Now, if this happened in the present day, we would actually have his Snapchat stories, and we'd be able to see a ruined pair of underpants that would confirm this.
Yeah, sweet corn for dinner last night, was it?
Okay, now.
I feel so proud of myself right now. Just getting that reaction out of you. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're a terrible influence.
I love the idea of his wife. There's been a terrible accident with Phineas. He's going, oh, God, what's happened? He's going, look, the tamping rod went straight through his face. There's blood. There's brain matter everywhere. She's like, well, as long as he's not shat. He what? He shat himself. Those are the family underpants. I don't know what it was like in 1884. I imagine they all shared.
Possibly. I don't think he was married at this point, though.
Was he not?
So, yeah.
At this point, does he find love?
Oh no. Well, I don't think he gets married at any point.
Or is he dead?
Well, no.
He's not dead.
No, he survives. So that's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
I've seen accounts that suggest that the reason why the rod entered where it did is because he turned to say something as it happened, so his mouth was open, which allowed the point to get in between his gum line and his cheekbone.
Oh.
So he was like going, what?
You've not put what in?
Kinda. Yeah, but so after convulsing, he just stood up and started walking around.
What?
Right?
Phineas Gage is a fucking G.
Badass.
He's a G.
Well, so there were medical reports saying that like he was really physically fit and had barely had a day of illness in his life before he got this big fuck off spike through his head. And I've seen pictures of him. Good looking bloke.
Was he?
Yeah, like
have a look at him. Let me have a quick look. I'll Google it.
Like Christopher Reeves. Like probably young Christopher Reeves. He looks Superman-y.
Is Phineas P-H-I-N-E-A-S?
Yep, it's spelled exactly how I said it to you in the WhatsApp.
Oh.
So you could just copy paste. But.
Thank you. That's a good looking man to you.
Yeah. What? That's after his accident.
Oh. Wow, they did a good job on him, didn't they? Wow, he went private, didn't he?
See if you can find a picture before the accident.
Okay, Phineas Gage before.
I have seen a picture of him that's supposedly before the accident, but he's got like a little black curl on his forehead.
A good yeah, I
think that's been doctored because that is too much like Christopher Reeves.
Okay. Okay, so I get he is a... Oh, here we go. That's a...
Yeah, he's not a bad-looking lad.
He's a good-looking fella.
Yeah.
He's a good-looking lad. He's, and then afterwards... So, to be fair, I mean, I'm looking at the pictures of him. I mean, I can't believe that he survived, but I'm looking at the pictures of him afterwards. And, to be honest, I think that given that... the accident happened the way it happened, and given that this was 1840 whatever, that is nothing short of a fucking miracle.
Yeah.
That for him to look like... Don't get me wrong, right? He's got a good side and a bad side.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. He definitely takes his selfies at an angle. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I'm glad we're focusing on the really important aspect of this, like face blown off. But still good looking. That's the important part, isn't it?
I think he sort of looks like, like Mickey Rourke. So you know who Mickey Rourke is?
I know the name, but I can't bring a face to mind.
Mickey Rourke was sort of like the Leonardo DiCaprio of his era, right? And he was getting all the love interest roles and stuff. And then they were like, hey, Mickey, what sort of film do you want to do next, you good-looking little scamp? And he was like, do you know what? I'm tired of being a pussy. Acting's for pussies. I'm going to be a boxer. And they were like, okay. You are pushing 30. You have never boxed before. And you are making shitloads of money because you are a young, gorgeous cherub of a man. I would say, as your agent, that this would be what we in the business call an error. You would kind of fuck your face up because you ain't that good at boxing and no one will want to hire you. And he's like, fuck you, I'm Mickey Rourke. You know, he had a thing as well. I think I read somewhere that he had a really weird relationship with his father and masculinity and, you know, stuff like that. So he felt like he needed to prove himself as a fighter. Anyway, takes a few years out, gets absolutely fucking mangled, and then comes back and he's like, oh, and they're like, yeah, we don't want you as much as we did because now your brain and face looks disgusting. But then they cast him in The Wrestler, and it revitalised his career as an actor, and now he's kind of like, you know, that good sort of, you know, when somebody is ugly in a good-looking way.
Right, okay.
Do you know what I mean by that? Like they are ugly, but all the features seem to just work together, and you go, that is a weathered face that's taken a lot of punishment, but there's a gritty ruggedness about it.
Okay.
So you know how you get on the opposite of that? You get attractive people who have all attractive features, but it just doesn't work. It's like the opposite of that.
Okay.
So I would say that about Phineas Gage.
All right.
What were you going to say about him?
Well, I was gonna focus less on his looks, I guess.
Oh, were you?
Like that was just more of an aside, sort of.
I thought this was all going to be about his looks. I think that I mean I tended to think that this was going to be the whole thing. Is like, look how he looked afterwards.
No, what's actually really interesting about Phineas is what it helped teach us. Well, he helped teach us about how brains work.
What?
Well, because
this was 1847. We didn't know how anything worked.
Exactly. We didn't have a clue how brains worked at all. And yet this guy takes a massive metal rod through the brain and survives.
I guess the medical community were very interested in him because he was probably the first person they'd ever met with a head with a sunroof in it.
Not quite, because so this is a little bit after the Revolutionary War in America. I can never remember what the proper term is. Where the South were all like, we want to keep slaves, and the North was like, fucking pack it in. And they had a big fight over it, and the North were like, do you want to fucking stop it now?
Yeah,
because we've fully won.
And then Hamilton the musical happened.
Hamilton is before that.
Is it?
That war? Hamilton is features the War of Independence, which is where it's telling England to.
Until this exact moment, I have lumped those two things in as the same thing.
No, they were separate wars.
Yeah, well, it makes sense now.
Yeah.
It makes sense now. I mean, in my head, I've always been going, but why did the English get involved with this slave keeping business? Yeah.
Right.
I didn't realise that afterwards they fought each other.
Yeah.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Confederacy.
Still, to be fair to America, they didn't get involved in any wars since.
Nor has Britain.
No, our hands are clean. Do you know about?
So clean.
This is a little tidbit. This is a little segue.
Yeah.
Not like us, right?
Right.
This is one of my favourite facts in history. Do you know what the shortest war in history is?
Oh, there's been some that have like lasted a day, haven't there?
The shortest war in history is the Anglo-Zanzibar War.
Okay.
Which was Britain versus, the plucky underdogs, Zanzibar.
Right.
So the leader of Zanzibar died, and Britain wanted to install a new head of that country. And Zanzibar, or at least some of Zanzibar's population, had different ideas. They thought, how silly, that they should be allowed to elect their own leader. Silly boys. So a few of the this guy basically, who some Zanzibarians, yeah, fuck it. Some of them wanted to be in charge. He went into their equivalent of the White House or whatever, and he was like, "Yep, I'm in charge now." And Britain was like, "No, you're not." So here's what's going to happen: we are going to give you until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning to get out of that house, or we are going to shell the living shit out of it with you inside until you fuck off. And they were like, "No, we are Zanzibar. This is gonna be the revolution." That was the song, official song.
Yeah.
So him and a couple of thousand of his followers were outside. They were like, "Come on!" And then at literally 9 o'clock, Britain was like, "Okay, time to come out." They were like, "Nope." And so Britain shelled the living shit out of the palace for 49 minutes straight before they surrendered. Massive casualties, like absolute fucking death and destruction.
Yeah.
Because these Zanzibarians have got this was the British Empire at its peak, so we had all of the latest technology and all of the manpower from all around the world.
What kind of year was this?
I think it's early 1900s.
Right.
All of the fucking manpower, and Zanzibar was like, well, this rock I've found is pretty menacing. Do you know what I mean? Like there was no chance, basically. So he shelled the shit out of them, bombed the shit out of them, fucking shot the shit out of them. 49 minutes in, they were like, "Okay, you can put in who you want. We have totally misunderstood how this would go."
Sorry, we thought you might be reasonable.
Yeah. Well.
We didn't realise you would actually murder us for disagreeing with you.
This didn't stop because this wasn't the most. What Britain did next was they invoiced the surviving Zanzibarians for the money that it cost to shell the shit out of their own people.
Yeah.
So they were like, "Hey, guess what? You know that ammo that we just wasted killing your dad? You're paying for it."
Bloody hell.
Yeah. Isn't that
Yeah.
And that was taken from the very good book, 52 Times Britain Was a Bellend.
I might have to get that book. That sounds great.
It's really good. It's like 52 little 2-page times of when Britain massively, what would you say, massively did horrific things. And
that must be a fucking thick book.
No, it's...
even if you're only giving 2 pages to each time Britain acted like an absolute cunt, that's still a tome.
Some of the stuff about the British Museum and stuff, and just stealing things. And can we have that back? That's really important to our ancestors, and you're using it as a doorstop. No. You see,
it's really shiny, and we like it.
We need that for the men's toilet on the 3rd floor. We actually use it as a urinal stone. I know you think it. I know you think it contains the souls of all of your dead ancestors, but it's blue. So
Yeah.
And then also as well the opium wars and stuff. Horrific stuff. Yeah. Anyway, brains.
So Britain, awful.
Awful boys.
Awful. So we didn't know a lot about how brains worked back then.
Okay.
We didn't know anything about localization. Like, does all of your thoughts happen all over your brain? We don't know. Like, it was a period of when people still believed in, like, phrenology.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, which is this idea that, like, you can tell how smart somebody is by, like, where the bumps are in their head.
Yes.
And you can tell what their personality is like.
I know what phrenology is based on about a 4-second gag in The Simpsons on one episode where Mr. Burns is really into it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's bollocks and quite racist in origin as well.
Oh, really?
So it was basically like, look, of course, white men are in charge. Look at their lovely skulls. They're so much smarter than people with other shaped skulls.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, cool. I don't know what phrenologists would say about my weirdly shaped head.
I wouldn't either. Also, phrenology is bollocks.
No.
So
I mean, I have one of those heads that you look at it and you think C-section.
You think? Like, do you think you've got quite a big head?
It's massive.
Oh, okay.
It's enormous. Look at Roblox character.
Fair enough.
Look, I was made on Minecraft.
Fair enough.
Do you know, I've got one of those like fat bouncer ripples in the back of my neck.
Oh yeah.
You know the ones that just at the bottom where it's like a little ripple.
Yeah, like I sometimes think about shaving my head and then think, I bet you I've got a bouncer roll.
I've got a bouncer roll, defo. Sometimes I'm in the shower just washing it and I feel it run over. And if I push down on it too hard, I go, not tonight, pal.
Nice.
It's just washing my hair. Do. Not with them shoes on. What? Sorry, it's just my bouncer roll.
Nice, I like that.
Thank you.
It's a good bit.
Thank you. I've literally just thought of it then. That might make it onto stage.
I think it should. I think that it's got legs. That idea's got legs.
Do you know what I was talking about? Sorry, we're going off track. This is a nightmare. This is a bloody nightmare.
Oh no,
mate! The last thing that was as messy as this was Phineas Gage's head.
Yeah.
So I've got a wedding in a couple of weeks, right? So I wanted. Yeah, disgusting. Proper podcast material. This. Who wants the sound of phlegm being sucked up? So I went for a suit fitting, right? Because I want to look sharp at this wedding, right?
So you're going to shave or?
No.
Get a wash?
I went into the it's a tailor's around here. It's called Polish a Turd. Thought they'd be able to help me. So I go in, right, for a measurement. I booked an appointment, right? This guy comes in. He looks like a tailor. He's wearing the fucking braces. He's wearing the tape measure around his neck type thing. He comes in and he goes, right, let's get you measured up, right? And he goes to measure my neck. And he goes, okay, your neck is... He goes, huh. He goes, your neck's 18.5 inches. And I'm like, right. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I think we might have some shirts that fit that. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's how this is going to go. Super duper. Let's get the rest of me measured up. So he goes, he measures my chest and he goes, your chest is... do me a favour, pal. Just put your arms up like that. And then he measures again. And he goes, He goes, it's coming in at 50 inches, but you might get away with a 48. And I'm like, right, okay. And he measures my waist and he goes, your waist is 40. He goes, and your leg is... what? He goes, your leg is... what? He goes... your leg's 30 inches. And I'm like, right, okay. And he goes, yeah, I don't think that we have any, like, combination here that is that. And I was like, right. I said, you know how you guys are tailors?
Isn't it your job?
I was like thinking, like, maybe you could just take a different thing and just put it up. He was like, yeah, but, like, you know, it's only 2 weeks away. Like, this is, like, you know, this is a really non-standard size. Basically, in terms of measurements, I'm an IKEA wardrobe of a human being. In that I'm sort of big and wide with tiny little fucking stubby legs at the bottom. But I've never had an experience before where the guy was just... He basically took my measurements, a professional, and left dumbfounded.
He sounds like he didn't handle it very well as well.
No, he was
like that sounds like an awful experience.
But I don't mind it at all because I thought it was quite funny that he was just like, what? Like, excuse me, John, have we got any suits for a human cuboid? It's just, you know, because the thing is I'm an overweight individual, maybe even obese, who knows? But it's all over my body. So my body's sort of proportioned in that I've got a big neck, big arms, big legs, but the length of my legs are rather stubby. Yeah. So I just, you know, people have big suits, but they just assume that if you're going to have an 18.5-inch neck, you're going to be 6'5".
Yeah.
And then when you're 5'10", they go, we are stumped.
Yeah, we don't make suits for human cannonballs.
Well,
Sorry.
Could I get Roger Hargreaves' signature? I believe I've just met Mr. Strong. Little block of a human. Anyway, what are we talking about? Oh,
We talked about Phineas Gage.
that dude with no head.
So we haven't even got to the goriest bit.
Right, the goriest.
Goriest
Oh,
bit.
I thought you said the glorious bit, like it was
No,
North Korea. The glorious bit. Right, go.
yeah,
We're 43 minutes in, and we've
we've
done about 7 minutes of this story.
We've barely even described what
I'm-
happened to this guy.
I'm not going to interrupt. Go.
Let's see how long that lasts.
Not
We're at
long.
43 minutes.
Okay, go.
Yeah, so he gets up, starts walking around. He gets taken by cart to a hotel where he's staying. So this is like bumpy roads with a huge friggin' head wound.
Yeah.
The doctor sees him, and some of the notes from the time said that, like the doctor writes, we could clearly see his pulsating brain from like the top of his head.
And he'd shot himself.
So that, yeah, less than a minute. It was on topic though, so I'll let it go.
Go on.
Yeah, and so because he had this massive head wound, he's swallowing a lot of his own blood, which makes him throw up. He throws up, and the pressure of vomiting ejects about half a teacup size lump of brain out the top of his head. It just comes flying out.
No.
But he's still conscious, still talking, still like with it. Now, he was lucky that he had a battlefield surgeon who, like somebody who had experience of battlefield wounds, that came to see him. But they had to like manually pick out bits of skull and bits of clotted blood from the hole in his head.
Oh, what a day at
and
work.
like go up through his face and try and get bits out.
Oh, what? Like fucking unblocking a drain?
Yeah, but like just scraping at it.
God.
And then they patch him up, but it gets infected.
Yeah.
And so he slips into delirium. He's in a coma at one point. They're making preparations to bury him, but he recovers.
To be fair, right, I bet that if you're the doctor and the surgeon and you see him about to die, I bet you go, thank fuck for that. It's fucking 5:30 and I'm picking brain out of this cunt. Like, I just want to go home to my wife.
Like over the course of several days.
Oh, right.
But also it gets infected at one point, and some of the reports of that bit I'm not even gonna tell you because just reading it I was like, I feel really queasy.
What, like maggots and stuff?
No, so the way it's described is fungus.
Nice. Come meet Mushroom Boy.
I doubt it was fungus. I wonder whether it was just pus.
Really?
But this is this is 1850s, like,
did you know?
1848.
Fun fact about Phineas Gage is that after he'd recovered from this, he started getting invited to more parties.
Because he was a fun guy to be with.
Hey! Oh, God. Oh, God. What have we become?
Deranged, I think, is the only word that can describe this episode.
Ozymandias, look upon my kingdom and despair. Fucking hell, this is an absolute... This is the death knell, this, when we're doing fun guy jokes. Go on, anyway. So he's got mushroom head.
But he recovers. Now, there are quite, like, conflicting accounts of what happens next.
Okay.
So, in sort of scientific legend, Phineas Gage completely changes. His personality completely changes. He becomes impulsive, rude, starts being like really nasty to everyone, engages in gross and lewd behaviour, which...
Oh, really? Like wanking in the streets?
Maybe.
It's a song, that, with David Bowie. Doesn't matter what you wear, just as long as you are there. Everybody grab your dick.
Are we gonna
Walking in
people watch
the
this?
streets. Yeah, do you know what, though? It's like we do have modern day versions of this, don't we? So, you know about that woman who's like from fucking Plymouth, but she had a stroke and now she's got a really heavy Chinese accent?
No.
You don't know about this?
No.
Right, this is one of the funniest videos
ever.
ever.
That sounds awful.
You say awful, but it's really funny at the same time because she's really. But the thing is, though, is it
Is it even a Chinese accent, or is it like a really friggin' racist sort of version of her?
No, it's well, look, she doesn't speak Mandarin. Do you know what I mean? But she speaks in a very heavy Chinese accent.
Yeah,
and she's like, I even herself, she's like, I now speak like I'm Chinese. I've never been out of fucking Cornwall or whatever. And it's so weird because you get to, it's like a documentary, and you see videos of her before, and she's like, all right, my lover, all right, or shall we go down to Burr and get a pint of cider, you know? And then now she speaks differently. I'm not going to do the impression.
No. It's good to know you've got limits.
Yeah. Oh no, I would have done it. But I feel like you would have been like, no, we can't edit that bit out. But she speaks really thickly in a heavy Chinese accent.
Yeah.
And
that must be so distressing for her. Like,
but funny for everyone else.
well, yeah. It's like cat bin lady.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad for the cat.
Yeah.
Fucking funny though.
My cat bin lady was so funny.
This is an absolute shambles, this episode. I'm very sorry, everyone.
I think people are going to love it, though. I think it's going to be a Hall of Famer. Because getting off topic's part of the fun.
Yeah. Well,
Go on, anyway. Phineas Gage, he changed his personality. He started putting cats in bins and wanking in the street. And spoke with a Chinese accent, which was weird, because nobody in 1847 knew what Chinese people sounded like. So it was... No, they didn't. Surely they did. How would they know?
When was the Opium Wars? And like trade.
Yeah, but that was England, wasn't it?
Yeah,
we have
and no
boats.
English people ever go to America.
Yeah,
like even
what?
way back when.
We just told them second hand. Guess what? Right, you know, you guys are this way. If you go the other way, they sound like this. Like, I just assumed that nobody from Phineas Gage's little fucking, you know, gauze packing community had access to a boat that could travel across the world.
Yeah, but also the bit where Phineas Gage starts talking with a Chinese accent, you've entirely made up.
Yeah.
So,
I think it'd be really funny.
so
Anyway, he went on to own the first laundromat in America.
So some people say some accounts say that he completely changed, and others suggest that
He was always a cunt.
Well, no, he was actually before the accident really popular.
Oh, really?
Like everyone he worked with really liked him. There are accounts saying that like he was a shrewd businessman, a very responsible worker, because you've got to give your responsible workers the job of playing with gunpowder and iron rods. So like his bosses liked him, and the people that he was the boss of also liked him.
Yeah.
But after the accident, like people said like he wasn't Phineas anymore. It was like he was a completely different person. But he lived for another 12 years.
Oh.
And over the course of that time, he took a job as a stagecoach driver in Chile. And
It's a bit of a career switch, isn't it?
yeah, and it's not a job it's a job that takes skill. Like he would have to have gotten up quite early in the morning, about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Fed and dressed himself, looked after the horses, like got them ready, attached a stagecoach, deal with passengers, deal with their luggage, and then sometimes do 100-mile journeys on like sketchy bits of road and stuff. So actually, based on that account, he makes a remarkable recovery and is really capable of looking after himself.
Yeah.
Like, despite having lost a big chunk of his prefrontal cortex.
Huh.
So yeah, it's Phineas Gage is really famous because he that incident sparked off the area of neurology, of going like, oh shit, so like different bits of the brain do seem to do different things. Like you can live without certain bits, and wow, blow up a bit of you. And it kind of proves the connection between brain and mind. That, yeah, your like this organ is what's responsible for your thoughts and your personality and controlling everything, which to us is like super obvious now, but it wasn't always.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting case study.
Isn't there the thing though as well that there's still so much about the brain we don't know?
Oh yeah,
and there's a lot of bullshit that flies around. So that whole like we only use 10%. That's all.
That's nonsense.
Bollocks.
Like yeah.
But like there's a lot of the brain that we're still learning about, and we're still in our infancy when it comes to learning about how shit works and stuff.
Yeah.
Could it be the case? I'm just throwing this out there. I'm sure no scientist has thought of this yet. Could it be the case that the brain is so complex and so good that if it loses a chunk, then what it does is it just sort of regrows, like it just, the chunk where that information was supposed to live, it just lives somewhere else in the brain. So the brain almost rewires itself.
So this is something that's referred to as neuroplasticity.
Fuck off! Yes! Fucking love it when a theory that I make becomes a thing.
Yeah, but it's like watching an oaf move about a minefield, and every now and again you hit something. Like, well, actually, that is a scientific idea.
Yeah. Mate, I'm a scientist in the streets. I'm Phineas Gage in the sheets. Don't know what that means, but it sounds disgusting.
I've got a big rod and a hole in my head.
Right. So it started off. Okay. So neuroplasticity.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. So we know that certain bits of the brain seem to be responsible for different things, but if you do get a brain injury, you can recover surprisingly well, depending on the type of brain injury. Okay. So, like, blunt force trauma is really bad for your brain.
Yeah.
Because, like, your brain's sitting in this, like, very tight, closed thing. If it starts to swell, there's nowhere for it to fucking go.
Yeah. Think of, if we were to use an analogy from half an hour ago, like the ping pong ball.
Yeah, except, like, your brain won't, even if, no matter how much your brain expands,
it's not going to come out your head.
Isn't going to explode.
Exactly.
So the stuff, it just crushes. It just gets crushed against your skull. There's a really, it's a very sad story about a guy called Clive Waring, who back in '94, I think it was, he started having a really bad headache, and it turned out that I think it was like, the herpes simplex virus that causes cold sores.
Yeah.
That virus had sort of gone a bit weird in him, and his brain had just started swelling and swelling and swelling. But obviously, closed skull.
You got brain herpes.
Yeah, that's not the main point, though.
Right, okay. Who fucks your brain?
Well,
Biggest in podcast does.
Let me introduce you to my friend Phineas Gage. So his brain basically it got crushed because of like the increasing pressure. The area that got most damaged is the hippocampus, which you might have heard of because it's an area that is that's known to be a lot bigger in black cab drivers, the hippocampus.
Oh, right. I was thinking of Hungry Hippocampus.
Well, it's called the hippocampus because it's in the shape of a seahorse.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
Like hippo. Oh, because the Latin term for hippos is water horse or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And seahorses. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
So that area of his brain got really badly damaged.
Okay.
And he's known as the guy with a 4-minute memory because, like, literally, like, he can't. Like, he has both antegrade and retrograde amnesia. Like, because often you'll either get one, which is, I can't remember which way around. One is you can't remember stuff that happened ages ago.
That feels like retrograde to me.
Yes. Yeah. And so you can't remember stuff that happened a long time ago, but you start being able to make new memories.
Yeah.
Or there's antegrade amnesia, where all of your really long-term memories are intact, but you have no short-term memory at all.
Yeah, like the main character in Memento.
I'll take your word for it.
Oh,
there are so many films I haven't got around to watching. It's
Memento
terrible.
is absolutely amazing.
Okay.
And it's about a bloke with short-term memory loss who has to find out who killed his wife. And
Sorry, I've got more music in my head. Have you heard that song? Like, do you suffer from long-term memory loss? I can't remember.
I have no idea what you're doing right now.
I'm sure it's a song.
If it's not, trademark. Yeah, it's about a guy who, it's a really good film. It's about a guy whose wife dies in a violent attack. And in the attack, he suffers a head trauma, which makes him unable to remember short-term memories. He's still got all his long-term memories about his wife. He knows she's dead, but he can't remember who's, short-term stuff. So what happens is he's trying to find out who the killer is, but every time he gets close, he fucking forgets. So what he does is every time he gets a clue, he gets it tattooed on himself. So, there's a big thing where he takes you see tattoos on his arms and stuff, and you see what he's doing, and he tattoos clues like one, red car or whatever. And then anyway, he takes his shirt off in one scene, and he's got a big chest piece that just says, "John G. raped and murdered your wife."
Oh.
It's like, oof, Christ.
Crikey. He'll end up on Tattoo Fixers.
Sketch going, we'll do some roses and a skull. How about that? Well, not a skull, that'll remind me even more of it.
Would you like a mandala?
That Tattoo Fixers is so bad. It's so bad.
Anyway, so Clive Waring. Yeah, he has both antegrade and retrograde amnesia.
Yep.
So he remembers fucking nothing.
Yep.
Like that he's like in the moment. It like there are videos of him.
Yeah.
And it is really distressing to see.
He's stuck in a moment and he can't get out of it.
I'm so glad I'm an atheist.
Why?
I'm just so going to hell if it's real.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, it's really distressing. What's really interesting about his case specifically, though, is so he was a musician and a composer before this happened to his brain.
Christ. Good job. Most songs are under 4 minutes, then, isn't it?
Oh, Jesus. What? Right. When people ask him, like, oh,
maybe he did Bohemian Rhapsody, and that's why it changes so much in the middle. Because he got 4 minutes in, Mama just killed a man, and then he was
suddenly
like,
it's a new song.
Yeah, suddenly I see a little cell. Fuck it, why not? I don't know what's going on anymore. Right,
No,
I'm not going to interrupt anymore. I'm just
Yeah,
going to
you
be
are.
quiet. Just be quiet. Just be quiet, Freddie. Be quiet. Stop it. Stop it. Right, go on.
Yeah,
So
like,
he's a composer.
Yeah, he was a musician and a composer. But if people say to him, like, after the accident, people would say to him, "Oh, Clive, can you play the piano?" He'd be like, "Oh no, I've never played the piano. I can give it a try though." But then he'll sit at a piano and just play perfectly.
No.
Like so it's like, oh, so music memory seems to be different to like declarative memory, which is like where you ask somebody something and they give you a response. He still plays wonderfully. Brains are weird.
That is really weird.
There's also a really cool thing that happens.
Is that not like muscle memory?
Yeah, but so muscle memory, it depends what you mean. Like, because muscles don't have brains.
No, I know, but like,
but it's like it's stored somewhere else.
Yeah, but
that would probably.
So I mean, you've experienced muscle memory before, yeah? Like, or like when it's happening.
Yeah,
it's a different thing than declarative. It feels different in your head. So like when you're having a conversation, you're trying to remember something. It's almost like, or at least speaking for myself, it's almost like I can almost feel a little man in my head
going through the Rolodex,
going through the filing cabinet.
Yeah,
this piece of information, and it's a very much an active thing. You feel you have to engage with it. Whereas muscle memory is the literal opposite. It just happens without you even having to deal with it. So it feels different in your mind. So yeah. I guess there's that to it as well.
Yeah. So, but it's just really interesting that, like, if you ask him, can you play the piano? He's like, never tried. But then he sits down in front of a piano and is a wonderful player.
Maybe he's just a cunt. Do you know what I mean? Like
that's a hell of a
maybe he's
play.
doing that thing that, like, you know, like he's every time now he wants to have his X Factor moment. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, I've just never tried before. Oh, guys, I just do it occasionally at the weekends, you know. Or maybe he's a really nice fellow and I'm being a knobhead.
Yeah, possibly, because it seems like his life was pretty much wrecked by the whole thing. Like, because obviously, how do you can't live independently, you can't look after himself.
Oh, God.
Like, because
does he have to? So he lives in that 4-minute window. Does he know who people are and stuff?
He recognizes his wife. So this is obviously with things like this, it doesn't just affect the person that it directly affects. It has a huge impact on the people around you.
Yeah.
But he knows his wife. But every time she walks into a room, even if she's like just walked out to make a cup of tea and comes back, he acts like he hasn't seen her in ages. And it's like the most amazing thing.
Oh, God. I bet
it's really heartbreaking.
I bet that gets really boring really quick as well.
For her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because the first time it happens, she's like, oh, that's really sweet. And then when it happens 50 times in a day, she's like, oh, Clive, shut up. Do you know what I mean? Like, come on, lad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They've actually got quite an interesting story because at one point she, like, understandably could not handle like what had gone on, and so she left and moved to America for a couple of years, but was just I can't live without him.
Yeah.
And came back, and he's
he
been
had
in
no idea.
Well,
he was like, you've been gone 4 minutes. Yeah,
a bit longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, because he was in assisted living the whole time because
oh Christ,
like, obviously, yeah, really devastating. But yeah, brains are super interesting. Like, so in the left hand side of your brain, that's generally where your linguistic areas are. There's 2 areas specifically. One's called the Broca's area, and another's called the Wernicke's area.
Yeah,
and they're named after the researchers who I'm Pity the Fool.
Yeah, I'm Pity the Fool that doesn't understand neuroscience.
Yeah, basically. So that's where your sympathy lives.
I ain't getting on no brain.
Oh God. I've got a fucking PhD. What am I doing?
I ain't getting on no brain. It's absolutely fucking killed me. It's the stupidest joke I've ever made.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, God.
So this might be the last ever episode.
Yeah.
we can't handle it.
If anyone is still listening to this now, congratulations. There's only one listener left, and it's fucking Clive.
No.
He's like, mate. Okay. Actually, no, he's still stuck on the intro.
Jesus.
I'm really sorry. I need to stop. I need to have a quiet word with myself. I ain't getting on no brain. Who do I think I am? Right.
Yeah. So there's the Broca's and Wernicke's area that are really important in language production, and so they're on like the left hand side of your brain. But so often when people have left hand side strokes in their brains, like one of the things that will go is like their ability to produce language.
Yeah.
But it's not uncommon that a little while after the stroke, the person starts regaining some verbal abilities. And if you look at MRIs, it switches sides. Like the right-hand side starts getting a lot more active in language production.
Wow.
But then as like recovery continues, if the left-hand side of the brain physically starts to get healthier again, the language switches back.
Fuck.
Like brains are just mad.
That's cool.
They're
as
really
fuck.
cool. So Phineas Gage, huge head trauma, survived, changed a bit, recovered surprisingly well, died. The end.
Something like Henry VIII's wives.
and like not most people who study psychology will at some point be like, right, Phineas Gage, learn about this guy. But like he's still talked about a lot in like neurology and neuroscience and psychology. It's one of the most famous case studies there is. So yeah, fascinating guy.
Mind blown.
Oh, Jesus. How long have you been sitting on that?
4 minutes.
Okay.
Genuinely, I've really enjoyed it. We have gone around the houses a little bit.
It's been a fun episode to record. I can't imagine this being anything other than a fucking nightmare to listen to.
Let us know in the comments. Honestly, okay. So here's what we'll do. In the comments of this YouTube video, comment spaghetti underneath, and that lets us know if you made it to the end.
Why?
Just because I want to see how many people. I want to see how many.
Why not just ask people to say if you made it to the end? Comment on the video, I made it to the end, rather than having a code word.
Because I feel like with a code word, that's more unbreakable, that's more unhackable. That makes sense, doesn't it?
I can see what you're getting at. But also, like, it makes me wonder how much you understand the internet. Because sometimes you'll just get, like, somebody will post a picture of a crab. Yeah. And then there's just, like, 1,000 comments of people just going, crab, crab, crab.
Okay.
Crab.
Different reason. Comment spaghetti on this episode because I want us to appear in the algorithm alongside Italian recipes.
Okay. All right, yeah.
Which would be great for our new sponsors, Uni, the pizza oven. See?
Who makes pizza so good it'll make you want to eat spaghetti?
Yeah, well, we got to the country food, didn't we? That's close enough to round it back.
The country of food.
Yeah. That sort of feels like it's rounded, doesn't it?
Like your pizza.
Yay! Uni, just 400 quid for some pizza that you can get for 7. Right. And before we go, is there anything that you want to plug, Kat?
Yeah, please check out Skeptics in the Pub online for sensible content that's coherent. And
sounds shite. Give me more nonsense.
and generally the Merseyside Skeptic Societies or any sort of Skeptics in the Pub groups near you, if you want something that makes sense.
Yeah, if you actually want something with substance, check that out. If you want more unfiltered, unfettered, total bullshit, get on our Patreon. It is patreon.com/pigoted. There's a link in all the fucking descriptions and everything. From just £1 a week, you get extra content, early access, and loads of other stuff as well. So please join us. And also you help keep the podcast going, which is the main thing, isn't it? Help us to keep the lights on and pay the bills and keep the wolf away from the door. Other than that, we will see.
Sorry.
I think I've broken you.
That was just weird.
What?
It was just weird.
It went camp, didn't it?
Not even camp, it just went strange.
Really?
Just keep the wolf away from the door.
Oh my God.
Sorry. This went a bit weird.
Went a bit Phineas Gage, this, didn't it?
Yeah. Just a bit.
Yeah. Technically coherent, but big plot holes.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for listening. Comment spaghetti. See you next week.
This podcast has been sponsored by Outlier Distillery. They are the makers of the fantastic Hooley Manx White Rum, which is available right now on the Outlier Distillery website for just 34 quid. And there's an extra discount code for everyone that listens to this podcast. Just enter Pigoted at checkout and you get yourself 20% off. Now, this was a company that was actually started in lockdown, and they make some fantastic drinks. I am a huge fan of this Hooley Manx White Rum. As you can see, I've drunk nearly most of it already. It's a really strong flavour and it goes great in cocktails and daiquiris and rum and cokes. So if you are a big drinker, if you're a fan of alcohol and you like white rum, then get yourself down to Outlier Distillery's website and get your code 20% off by entering Pigoted at checkout. This episode of Pigoted Podcast was sponsored by Taylor's Toys. Now, for OG listeners of the show, you'll know Taylor's Toys. They've been sponsoring us since the beginning. They are a sex toy company that specialise in making high quality produce, produce, like you grow it. You know, they make good products that don't fall apart after a couple of uses, but they're at decent, reasonable prices as well. You can head over to taylorstoys.co.uk right now, check out the amazing range that they've got on offer, and if you enter the discount code PIGOTED at checkout, you get 20% off and you get free delivery on orders over £25. It is a fantastic thing to do, especially with Valentine's Day just round the corner. Head yourself over to taylorstoys.co.uk and spice some things up in the bedroom.